Thank you so much once again on behalf of MTC Global, Knowledge Cafe Bangalore, and Global Faculty Incubation Center Bangalore. I heartily welcome all of you in today's program. Primarily, this program is designed keeping the focus on effectiveness of online teaching and its scope, challenges, and the future of online teachings. And as most of us are from teaching community, we have been engaging online sessions since March, and I'm sure that all of us by this time is adapted to this situation. But there are challenges at the same time, and keeping that in mind, I thought of making a small presentations in the beginning, and let's then all of us can join, and each one of us probably can share his or her experience in handling the online sessions and the kind of challenges are coming up during the interaction with the students. I think that would be more enriching, and definitely we can take some of the questions as usual at the end of a small brief presentation, because primarily I am sure that all of us, most of us from teaching community, even from the corporate, those who are present, they are also most of the times are working no online, work from home. So challenges more or less maybe the similar kind of challenges we all are going through. So keeping this in mind, we kept this program, and I'm sure that at the end of this program there will be a lot of value additions for all of us, including me. I'm looking forward to learn from all of you from your experience for last 7 months. And I have also seen that many research and survey also conducted to find out the effectiveness of online teaching. Probably some of the experiences, some of the esteemed uh, participants present for today's program can share, so that it becomes a community learning what we are talking about today. Now let us start with some basic questions on online teaching learning and the offline teaching learning. So the first question goes like this: the differences between online teaching and face-to-face teaching. And I'm sure that all of us are going through the challenges, the gaps, and the differences between online teaching and online course design. Most of us, no, all of us, are engaging the sessions, especially the syllabus and the curriculum lesson plan, which was designed for the face-to-face interaction, but we are trying to deliver the same contents through online mode. So we find that there itself is a big gap. Okay, so we'll try to discuss how exactly this gap is creating some kind of challenges those who are engaging the online sessions. The online teaching is somewhat different, because there is no physical meeting space, and we find that many times when we are engaging online sessions, there are technical problems, right, in terms of bandwidth, in terms of network connections. And some of my sessions also, I have seen that some of the invaders, no, I'll say the invaders in the sense, some of the outside people, they joined the program and they created nuisance. And many classes also, it seems that link somehow got leaked, and some of the people joined and created some kind of trouble, and this is very horrific. So you have to be very, very careful whether that kind of security measures are there or not. That's the fundamental reason why the Zoom, which was so popular, initially put some kind of restrictions by MHRD and the UGC, but Zoom has come out with some encryptions to just prevent this kind of hacking, this kind of hacking activities. Time spent in planning and creating online content, I think that is very, very important area. The content is the king, as rightly said, and what kind of content and how we should engage the online sessions, I think that depends on the effectiveness of the engagement in the online sessions. Communication via online channels, and we know that when we talk about the online, it's not about the video platform, it's a 360-degree approach. I have seen, and I also know that many of us, those who are present today, they are using multiple communication channels. They are using WhatsApp, the email communications, Even the asynchronous learning, some of the teachers, they are recording their own video lectures and uploading in the YouTube channel, so that students at their own space in the leisure time, they can always go through. I think a lot of initiatives taken from the teaching community. At the same time, students are also taking a lot of interest for self learning. They are going to the blog, the community platforms, and browsing through the internet and trying to get hold of the information which is needed to complete the course. I think this is a new trend, right? We always used to say that no, teachers can teach, but whether students learn or not, that's up to them. I think now what is happening, the students are encouraged to learn by themselves because of the challenges of the online teaching learning. I think that's something on a very positive note, right? Delayed feedback to the students. I think that's another, the how the online teaching is different. In the face-to-face teaching, the offline teaching mode, we get the feedback instant. But in the online teaching mode, because of the some limitations of the technology or because of the limitations of the session timing, there is always a problem to get the instant feedback. So can we design some kind of mechanism wherein no students can give their feedback, or teachers, as a teachers, we can understand what are the areas students are facing difficulties, and we can mentor them, not online at the same time when we're engaging the sessions, maybe sometimes over the phone, maybe sometimes through WhatsApp communications, Telegram, or maybe in some other ways. I think that's one area, because in conventional mode, we used to have mentoring session at least thrice in a week. But in the online teaching learning, I think that's one area we all of us having difficulties, the mentoring part, whether really students are learning, or maybe some students, they will have some difficulties because of the slow learning process. And can we address that? I think that's one area we all need to focus. Emphasis on visual design of content. Can we create some kind of rich content wherein using of some the artificial design or some kind of graphics, whether that scope is there or not? I believe that there is a lot of innovations required in case of creating the content which is suitable for online teaching learning. The another area it's different is flexible schedule, right? In online teaching learning, we can schedule. I've seen in some of the universities, they're engaging the sessions even in the evening time, and students are responding because they're attending the classes from their home. I think that is never possible in offline face-to-face mode. I think this flexible timing, this self-paced learning is the biggest fruit of online teaching learning. But even I've seen some places in the schools, right, when the kids are attending classes, there is a lot of gap in between, because I believe that teachers, they are taking classes from the home for their cooking timing. So a lot of, that kind of gaps are also there. What we have experienced. But anyhow, it's highly flexible and it's self-paced learning. And today, starting from the Harvard and a college in the rural India, all are following the same platform. That's the beauty. And many people ask the question, the crores of rupees invested on the physical infrastructure, what will happen with that? And I'm sure that the Bhaskar Chakraborty sir is here, who is from the pharmaceutical industry. And there was one report that even the vaccine is developed today to vaccinate all the people in the world, the 7.6 billion people, it will take 10 years minimum. The kind of vaccination available and the service to vaccinate, to give the injection. So we can see the situation as of now, and there is no news of vaccine, effective vaccine. Vaccine is launched by Russia, by the China, but none of the vaccines are effective, as the virus is going under continuous mutation. And recently, expert says by mid 2021. But that's also we are not hopeful because of the continuous mutation. I think that's a new normal. And I believe that we need to continue with this. Keeping this in mind, and I'm sure that many of us must have read in the newspaper that Google has already made an announcement by 2021, majority of the workforce will work from home. And on a similar line, many companies, they have understood, they have foreseen what is going to happen, and they are taking the corrective measure as of now. I think academic fraternity has responded very proactively, very positively. We teachers and the students, we never thought of taking classes online. We used to be afraid of attending the Zoom session. There was a time, but when this lockdown started in March, we responded very quickly. I think that's the flexibility and the adaptability which is needed. And it is rightly said that no, tough time never exists for long, but tough people really do so. And I think we all are very tough people. We are engaging the sessions very effectively, and not only engaging the teaching learning process, the evaluation, the assessment, online seminar, conferences, the admission test, the PhD research, Viva Voce, everything today is happening online. And other day, in another program, one person asked a question, sir, so many seminar conferences happening online. What is the whether these are good programs, whether AICT or UGC will validate this program? I asked a simple question. Now tell me what is happening offline today. Even IIM Kasipur conducted the exam, the admission test online. There was a lot of debate in the news media. It was using the Google form, right? So whole world is working online. So what is the problem if colleges or organizations no organize program using the online platform? I think this is, we need to accept it. Other day I read one article, the global education in 2050, and it says that the way things are developing or things are emerging, maybe there will be a time wherein majority of the universities, they will be using the online, especially the blended format, wherein some 30-40% weightage can be given the face-to-face interaction, and the major weightage will be given the online interaction, wherein students not only from one country, from different country, can join online session, create a community learning platform, and students from one country can teach the students from other country based on their comfort zone. I think that's a beautiful way to look forward. Those who are challenging, criticizing the online mode, let me tell that this is the way how the world is moving forward, and this is going to stay. Even we come back to normalcy. Today, you look at the corporate world. There is a lot of, in terms of the expenses, lot of saving in the expenses as far as the meeting, traveling, all these expenses are concerned. The meetings are happening online. A lot of money is being saved. And they have developed all the corporate, they have gone through digital transformation. I think there is a report by McKinsey, and it says the kind of transformation which the corporate world expected to happen in next 5 to 10 years, that is experienced in last 4 to 5 months. So we have gone on fast forward mode, and that transformation is going to stay there. And today, if you look at the corporate, the companies which have their presence on the internet, they are the companies which have reaped benefits during this COVID. Whether it is Amazon, whether it is Reliance, Mart, GeoMeet, okay, these are the companies along with the pharmaceutical industry and to some extent the financial industries. They have done wonderful during last few months. But at the same time, there is the dark side in terms of tourism, hospitality, and also academic sector. To some extent, they are negatively affected due to this corona outbreak. Time online instead of the classroom. I think that scheduling part which I was talking about, in the online, we enjoy the flexibility, even the students' participation, that replace the conventional attendance mode, right? I think that's something very, very important in case of online teaching learning. What good online learning is not? If we can say that an online teaching learning is good, then what is not? If we follow a very strict timetable like the conventional mode, the offline mode, then definitely it is not a good online session because it is primarily flexible, the self-paced. Primarily a set of recorded videos, definitely not an online session. There was a debate on broadcast method of teaching learning, wherein in YouTube channel teachers upload their videos because there is no scope for interactions. Even Ministry of HRD, they have dedicated 30-40 channels for different sessions to impart teaching to the students. But that's the problem, is there is a lot of learning definitely, but it is one way of teaching learning. So that's the challenge, which is not supposed to be a very good online mode. It should not be boring. And this is a common complaint. I am sure that all of us have experienced it, that over a period of time, in some cases, we have seen that number of students attending the session goes down, but in some places it goes up also. But many complain that it's kind of boring because, see, the challenge is because as a teachers, maybe that some of us, we are not prepared for the online session. Our content is not ready for that. Online delivery, how it is to be done, I think maybe because we are not much aware on that. But there are tools and techniques through which we can ensure that online session is also entertaining and engaging and productive. I think that is very, very important in case of online teaching learning. As now there are a lot of things what online teaching learning, especially when you are talking about online teaching learning, what makes a great educational experience? If I like to pose a question, what makes a great educational experience? And definitely a good class, interactive class session, a good course material and activity, followed by the evaluation and the assessment method. That makes a good educational experience. Now, can we create such experience in online teaching learning or not? Definitely, we all have been engaging the sessions and we have mastered the arts based on our experience for the last 5 to 7 months. We have understood how the content needs to be developed, how the session has to be delivered. Now, it cannot be like spoon feeding method, where generally we go to class, make presentations or take a particular module or unit and teach to the students. It has to be majority of the session must be on the self-learning mode. Students must be given a lot of assignment, home assignment, so that they can prepare. They must be told that this is the unit we are going to discuss, and let them study by themselves and let them come with the questions and the no doubts what can be effectively discussed in the online sessions. Then we can justify, because in the online session there is a time limit, there are other issues like technical issues, bandwidth issues, the audio problem, a lot of technical difficulties are there. I think that's one of the ways how we can address this particular problem. To design a good online educational experience, what I was referring to, what is very important is the context. I think this context is only we're finding some challenges as far as context is concerned. As far as the knowledge and wisdom are concerned, as a teachers, we have done a lot of hard work, lot of preparations, and we are very sure that we can address that as per the knowledge, information, and wisdoms. No, these are concerned. But the context, as I was referring to in the beginning, in case of face-to-face interaction, the modalities, how a session is addressed, the flexibility in getting feedback, in asking questions and the answers, getting the answers, prompt answers from the students, those things are possible. But in the online mode, we cannot do that to the same extent. So this context is different. So keeping this mind in this context, how we can design the content, deliver, and get the feedback from the students, that's also very important. Many teachers, when I interact with them, they say that after the end of each unit, they create one feedback form in the Google form and try to get the response from the students, whether they have understood or not, or in case some open-ended questions wherein they can feed in their questions or the difficulty parts, which can be discussed definitely in the next class. I think that's something very, very innovative intervention developed by the teachers during their course of interaction with the students, and they've understood the difficulties. The faculty and students, as far as faculty are concerned, I believe that all of us are doing wonderful job as a teachers, and we have picked up the technology very fast, and we have been adapted to the new methods and the modes of teaching learning, and students, they have equally responded very well. So I think the students and the faculty part, this part, and the content is one area I think we need to really look into. Other day I was discussing with one of the publisher, and the publisher was telling, sir, my business is completely gone. I said, what happened? He said that before this pandemic only, students never used to buy the book, and now especially during these online sessions, okay, there's the online study notes, the e-books, the e-materials are provided by the teachers. I think no one is purchasing. I think they're coming into the e-book and other electronic format wherein they need to be innovative. I think publishing industry, and they're under severe pressures. The role of teachers and the learners, I think that's one area, and I'm sure that as far as students are concerned, the engaging the students in assignments and the different kind of activities, I have also seen that most of the institutions, they are organizing the online quiz activities, online student paper presentations, online symposium wherein students are participating, and that's something very, very encouraging. Collaborating with the peers, I think that's one area I think we need to encourage the students so that digitally they can connect with the peers and they can help each other in the group learning, which generally happen in the conventional mode. We need to encourage the students asking questions of peers and the instructor and reflecting. I think reflection part, what happens in the online teaching learning, students attend the class and class is over, they don't reflect what was taught in the class. So can we ensure that they reflect what they have been taught inside the class, okay, on the online platform, and later on come out with the questions. I think that mentoring part, I think that needs a little bit of extra efforts on the part of the faculty. Sharing experiences of the students, okay, what are the difficulties they have faced and the challenges, and how can learning become more engaging. I think we need to take the feedback from the students because they are the end user, right? In terms we are teaching, whether they are really understanding or not. If we can have some kind of feedback mechanisms, what I said that some colleges are doing using Google Form platform, I think that's very, very creative and the innovative way. The teachers, if we talk about time and again, the designing the course and the teaching the course while we teach in the online method, okay, the kind of content we develop in terms of the PPT or in terms of the recording, the video recorded lecture, I think that's one part. How we can do the mentoring of the students, how we can provide the feedback of the students. I think the assessment part and the evaluation of the students online, that's very, very effective. Before the pandemic also, I believe that many top premier institutions, they used to do the open book examination, right? So now also, you must have read in the newspaper that UGC, that Supreme Court has said that the examination ending with the graduation, the final year examination, there must be examinations. Other semesters, there may not be examinations, and it's up to the state, okay, to decide on that. And we have seen that many universities, they have come out with the innovative measures. Especially in the West Bengal, while interacting with some students, they said that they were given the question paper online and they used to submit the answers within 24 hours through email, right? Because the problem is many universities, they don't have that kind of IT architecture wherein they can do it, the online test. Now, I'd like to quote one example in this matter. The TCS Ion, I think they are the leader in this aspect. the NEET exam, the NET, most of the online tests which happened during this pandemic, all things happened in the TCS Ion Center, which they have established in different technical colleges. I think they are the no leader in this particular space. But that kind of investment, academic institutions, they may not have that kind of no money to invest on the IT infrastructure. But and some places, some universities, they conducted online test using Google Form, and they have given the option, if you don't get good marks, always you can come back and you can write the exams also. So a lot of flexibilities are given to the students, and academic institutions have responded very well, and exams are conducted well. Before the NEET exams, there are a lot of uproar from the student side, different political sides, okay, because of the health issues. But we have seen that NEET exam was conducted very well, with around 95 plus percentage of attendance. I think no, a lot of difficulties are there, but we could no, we have no addressed those challenges also. I think that's something very, very no, important. Now, another area I think what we need to look into, that is the assessment of the students. In the online classroom, we need to pre-assess the students about their ability to learn, their learning skills. I think that's is very, very important. Can we do some kind of no survey from the student sides to find out their learning ability skills? Okay, I think that's very important. If you can find out that in a class of 30 students, how many students are meritorious or gifted students, how many students are no average learner, and how many students are slow learners, probably we can design the curriculum in such a way so that no, the slow learners we can address in the online teaching. I think that's one part we need to do little bit of no extra efforts. I think that's what is needed in this particular area. And online teaching learning today, we have multiple platform. I think that's one advantage, and many platforms are no free of cost, like no Google Meet. Okay, still it is extended 2021 free of cost with the Google, and then they will put a charge. I think Google Meet is there. We have the Zoom for 40 minutes, we get the free, and GeoMeet, the Cisco WebEx. I think a lot of digital platforms are available, and GoToMeeting, wherein we can make use of this free platform. And if you want to use the extended time, then no colleges are registering to these no websites with the payment, and then make use of this platform. I think that's the beauty today. And what is happening, I've observed one particular things, the guest lecture. I think that's happening fantastic today, because what was seems at a particular time quite impossible, getting a resource person from US or from some other countries, okay, coming and interacting with the students. But because of this digital platform, today we find that in many places, most of the institutions, they're organizing good, very, very, very good guest lecture, expert lecture, and getting the experts from across the world and across India. I think that's the benefit, that's the advantage and the plus points of being on the digital platform, and we must accept it. And in terms of MDP, there was a report in World Economic Forum 3-4 years back, and the report goes like this. It says that by 2050 there will be a new kind of workforce, and this workforce will be the consultant. These workforce will be the consultant. And today we have seen same thing is happening in corporate. There is less fresh recruitment. They are recruiting only the consultant based on the project, so that there is a there is a least burden on the corporate. And this consultant, I think this particular what World Economic Forum said, I think that's being experienced right now at this time. So consultants will be on very good demand, and using this platform, now we have seen that there is a huge opportunity in terms of extension activities like MDP and the consulting assignments across the world. Using digital platform, we can cater to it. And at MTC Global, let me tell you, we have been doing it very successful. We have some of the projects overseas wherein we are able to cater to those needs using the digital platform without making any movement. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of being online. We can connect, we can learn from anywhere in the world, and that's the future. And that's the future of online teaching learning. And today we have multiple resources. Let me tell you, there are multiple resources, right? We have the YouTube, the social media. If we talk about, many use the Facebook very reasonably. Some teachers may have thousands of students followers in Facebook. So teachers are using the Facebook wall so creatively, and for education purpose. There are blogs, there are community websites. I think multiple free cost platforms are there, which can be put in use, for the betterment of the students learning process. I think that's something is very very important. And as we move forward, we don't know. And now latest, there are circulars that most likely November 5th the colleges will start functioning, and every time we get a deadline it gets postponed, and things are becoming really very very critical. And not only in terms of critical, there are reports that many teachers are laid off. There are reports of salary cut in most of the places, and it's a very very difficult scenario. And the corporates, the similar kind of situations are there. And the freshers of especially know the passing out batch of 2020. And when I interact with them, and all they ask, sir, where is the job? No, we are not getting any job opportunities. I think this is, we are going through a very very tough time. And there is no negative growth, and economy is under severe pressure, and we don't know when things is going to improvise. And but having said that, there is always a silver lining in terms of difficult situations. But this time, and many people they compared it with Spanish flu, but that was a complete different. But this particular coronavirus is a different kind of situations. The way it gets mutated, and it's gets airborne, community spreading. I think the intensity is quite different, and we don't know how long it will take time to come back. But let us be positive. Let us be hopeful, and let us come out with some kind of creative intervention, wherein really no we are able to contribute, we are able to add values wherever we are working, and find out the new ways and new no means to address the challenges which are no which have come up because of this COVID-19 situations. So this is just a no brief introduction. I kept my session very limited so that I can listen to no other very experienced and senior participants are there in today's session. So let us have some kind of no community learning. What exactly? Now let us learn from each other's experience, and some of the questions probably definitely we can take it up. Some of the questions, and it's an open platform. I think anyone can take up the questions and anyone can ask. And that's it from my side. A bit introduction. And tomorrow the test will be there at 3 p.m. and it is 25 questions, the multiple choice questions, and these are very basic questions. 5 6 questions will be on teaching aptitudes, and the other around 20 questions will be the online teaching learning. And these are simple. I believe that little bit of knowledge will help all of us to do well in the test. And I'll share the link exactly at 5 minutes before 3 o'clock the session, the test will start, and 3:30 it will get over. So 2:55 I'll share the link. So I open up for question answer and for the discussion. I think that would be the best part of any online
Sir,
session.
sir, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Sir, I'm Anand from Mumbai.
Yeah.
I feel that the current situation and scenario that everyone has accepted, even school to PG level, maybe medical, pharmacy, everywhere the online teaching is going on. That way, our traditional and the way the hardcore teacher, our whatever they know that they are giving the things to students. But no doubt, sir, here now the teacher has to learn so many things about the technology part and the delivery part. What you already told that whatever the books is offline we have prepared for online, the content should be the different. And another thing is that, sir, the as a teacher, we Indian that something in our hand that we feel that yes, there's a march in our hand, and that no, this we should like answer should be like this, and the answer should be like this. Now the time has changed. The technology is changing the scenario that our teacher has to change our mindset and everything open. Now the way you have said that ki, that somebody has given, everyone has conducted a examination on Google Form. So my thing is that, sir, now teachers' mind has to be changed and they have to accept the thing. And there are so many things is there because there are certain universities, certain teachers and the students complain that I have wrote answer from this book, but my teacher is saying that no, it is my notes and you should write on this. Now this is too much. So that is the reason my question is that here the 99%, 99.9%, our teacher has to change first and they have to accept because there are so many things is there in market. Today we will fail the students. Tomorrow he will be out somehow. So that is the reason we have to change and we have to accept the thing. No doubt there is a challenges, so many challenges, but so technology has given so many things is there. For example, even you can there are so many quiz and so many things you can conduct, and you should know about the platforms. What are the different as a teacher? Say for example, I am teaching history. So what to teach in that 40 minutes? So offline is a different thing, sir. We have to try to teacher has to understand the environment in the online, and we have to deliver in that. Plus, we have to monitor. So there are so many skills the teacher has to learn, and he has to adapt. But I hope that these the Indian teachers are smart and they will accept a way. But still, my question is that we have to change, sir. That was my. What is your opinion?
Thank you, Anand sir. I think that was wonderfully put forward. I think that no changes starts from the teachers first because teachers are the best learners, as you rightly said. And unless we learn fast, I think students cannot no learn. That's one part. The second part, sorry, the second part, no, this is the era of open source, right? And we have seen that no many companies, many organizations know they are advertising their product and services in the social media platform, and they have created huge followers, right? Whether we talk about LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, okay. So and no one professor was talking that there will be a time, right, when all the research papers wherein no all teachers are running behind Elsevier, Scopus Index, okay, there will be a time when it will be open source, okay, an open platform, the white paper teachers can post, and that will be read no by the millions of people. I think because of some pricing things in the ResearchGate and academia and other website, okay, after a certain no activities they will ask for a price, and
Yes.
because of that, if it is an open source, I believe no, it is open for all can learn from that, and that will get the maximum reach. I think we are coming to an era of open source where everything will be the open, right? And as you
Yes.
rightly
Correct.
said, Mr. Anand sir, I think as a teacher we need to change fast, we need to accept the changes, and we need to learn new tools and technologies. I think that is one area, the learnability, the ability to learn fast and put into practice. I think that is, from that, as a teachers we need to pick it up very fast, the new tools and technologies, and definitely know the
Right.
present scenario, and as things move forward, looking at the future, I think no, we all are changing very fast because we have understood the situations, and teachers have responded very well. Thank you so much,
Hello.
Anand sir. That was, I think, wonderful
All
no
right.
Hello.
introduction.
Hello, sir.
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Avi Chakrabarti from West
Professor
Bengal.
Datta, can I?
Hello, sir. Dr. Avi Chakrabarti from West
Yes,
Bengal.
yes, sir. Please, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, I am Vice Principal and Professor of Global Institute of Management Technology, Krishnanagar, District Nadia, West Bengal.
Yes, sir.
First of all, best wishes for Mahastami. It is one of the precious day for the Bengalis. We know that it is a Mahastami. Best wishes to all of you.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
I in your teaching profession for last 18 years. Right now, holding the administrative post also. So, during this COVID or COVID-19 situation, last 6 or 7 months. So there are various things that what is my own view I can share that when we are going to ask the faculty members to go from the offline to the online, that is a chalk and talk, to going to the online particular mode where mainly we are using various Google Classrooms, or we are going the Zoom or the Google Meet. The fun mental blockage or the preparedness of the faculties or the staff members, that is one of the blockages that we have faced during the March, April on that particular starting of the period. But as the time goes on, we have to equip ourselves, including administrative part, including checking all those, taking the classes. It is far difficult as being a mechanical professor. It is also difficult sometimes to take those the mechanical labs that are very much difficult on our part to conduct the mechanical labs. It is very difficult to arrange all the mechanical labs that are not properly taken. In future, it may be taken care of. But whatever thing that we have upgraded ourselves, the faculty members have upgraded ourselves, we have upgraded ourselves, and based on the situation, we have to customize ourselves. We have to look in the proactive approach and positive approach so that we can equip ourselves, because that is going to particular online is now become one of the part and parcel of the teaching community as the other industrialist or the business community. It's their own perception. But we have learned a lot and lots of things to learn. The thing is that the Indian education system that has been, we have been put into particular online where we are not having the all basic infrastructure facilities, not having those set up. That is not in the case of the other European countries or the foreign countries with think of it, whatever knowledge I have. So that is one of the teething problem we have. So, but we have established ourselves online, all those courses, smartphone users, laptops, net communication, all those things have been slowly we are. That's my own source.
Thank you, Abhijit sir, for his personal experience sharing in this platform. And as sir rightly mentioned, that especially the lab, the sessions a bit difficult. But IIT Delhi and some of the top engineering institutions in some specific disciplines like EEE, computer science, they have developed the e-lab also. I think that's looking forward, but especially the civil engineering, the mechanical engineering part, these we needs hands-on experiences. So there are difficulties. So recently in the Kerala, and there was one committee formed because of this pandemic, and this committee made a suggestion to the government that majority of the courses like social sciences courses wherein hands-on activities are not there, I think the 90 to 80% the classes can be conducted online, wherein there is no compulsory lab like mechanical engineering and other engineering disciplines. I think therein we can have a blended mode wherein the classes can be conducted online and the lab sessions we can just delay for some time. When things improvise, definitely those sessions can be handled. I think that's a typical challenge, especially for the engineering discipline, wherein they have the lab sessions and especially mechanical things which we cannot bring it to the online completely. So definitely looking forward, I believe that the way, and if all of us look, there is one industry growing very well, and there are around 500 to 600 new startups during this pandemic, and that is the edtech, educational technology industry. Lot of startups have entered during this pandemic time, and they are trying to add values whatever difficulties we have. Now online test, one problem is there, that the proctor, now they are using artificial intelligence, there are online proctor also. And in one article I read, it talks about the face recognition system. The face recognition system, if online the candidates, those who are appearing for the test, if we can develop some artificial intelligence and they can recognize that so and so, yes, this person is Volanath Datta, the right person is attending the test. So if that kind of technology is there, the online face recognition system for the test especially I'm talking about, I think many of the challenges can be addressed, and the IT companies, the edtech companies are working very hard in these areas, and definitely some of the challenges will be addressed in current. Thank you so much, Abhijit sir, and happy Navaratri and happy Ashtami to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, please.
May I?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. With due respect, everyone, I would just put put forward a question. Here, everybody is talking about engineering, colleges, higher education. What at the level of schools? Because here, like I'm heading a primary section, I'm HOS head of section there. So we have to face a lot of, anti things from our parents because they don't want their children to be, facing the screen for so long hours. I mean, if you want to give them a 3 to, I mean, we have around 3 periods for our grade 1 and 2. We have formulated a timetable, but parents are not of the view they don't like online education. So how to confront that? Because here we're all talking about grown-ups. We're talking about flexible timings. So that's okay with the grown-ups there. That's okay with the mature people who are like now, just stepping into the university means they're already adults. So like, what about those children? After all, they also have to move forward. Now, what is happening at that level? Because that's the basis of our education.
Okay.
So we are losing on that kind of thing, that because we don't have those physical classes.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's a real concern, and I have experience because it's a personal thing, but still I'm saying that my wife is also a principal in one of the ICSE school in Bangalore, where I know at present residing, and I have seen the challenges, and I have also seen how the school is addressing this kind of challenges. The number one, as you rightly said, and especially in Karnataka, yesterday there was one notification from the government side, and they have divided the number of hours of classes to be taken as per the grade for the Mont and the primary, upper primary. So that's skipping the one part. The second part, the challenges from the parents, I think, as you have rightly pointed out, that many parents they show the resistance that especially the Mont students attending the online sessions, and no parents are holding the kids on the lap and making them sit in front of online sessions. So it has come to some situation. But having said that, I have seen that especially the teachers now, for the junior students like Mont and pre-primary, they are giving lot of the project work, the assignment and the project work through SMS, through WhatsApp, to their parents. I think here what is very responsible, because parent is one of the very important stakeholders in this whole system, and parents have to take interest and understand the situation, that this situation is going to remain there for some more time, and it is the question of their kids learning, and they must come forward. And as a teacher, we must be able to create that awareness in the mind of the parents. Yes, your kids are at home, okay, but see the like homeschooling is very popular in abroad, where students learn being at home. But in India, we don't find homeschooling because parents, they don't have time. I think at present time, parents have a lot of time being at home. But again, that's a different kind of challenges, because parents are doing the homework from home, and students, there is a lot of social stress. And it is there in the newspaper that there is a lot of family disputes also, because husband or wife used to be in the office, now they all are locked inside the home, and the kind of communication.
Frustrating. Parents are getting frustrated actually, because the kind of work that was actually being handled by teachers, now they have to handle all that.
Yes,
so some may say hats off to teachers. How could they manage these musketeers? But now they have to manage those musketeers at home and make them do work, which actually our great teachers were doing that.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yesterday it was in the newspaper that around 500 schools, those which started in last 3 to 5 years, especially in North Karnataka, and they are shut down because they have the student of around 100, 200 students, and there is no fresh admission, and the existing students, they are not able to pay the fees. So I think this is a very, very different kind of situation, where it's not about only the teaching learning, but the admission part is becoming a big trouble. I think that parents, see, one side parents are not paying the fees, then how school will pay to the teachers? See, the question is like this, and this is a very difficult situation. But having said that, ma'am, I think your question is very, very pertinent and very relevant, because we say that social distancing should not lead to any kind of knowledge distancing. What is your point? The main moot point.
Yes.
I think here, what I have seen in my experience, that how schools are addressing this particular gap, especially for the upper primary and the high school, there is no problem. Students have responded very well and they are doing wonderful, especially for the Mont, LKG or UKG, whatever you say it. For them, it is a big challenge because their attention period is very less. So Kannada government said
Yes.
that 40 minutes class, 3 class per week for them in presence of the parents. Parents must be there along with the kid. Otherwise, kid will play something else, or you know,
All right.
we
Hello.
all know. So I think that's one way. The second, they must be given a lot of craft work, homework, and parents should take the lead in absence of the physical school to ensure that that their kids are put into right kind of learning and right kind of culture or environment at home. I think it is a collective responsibility. Not only we cannot blame the schools, we at this time they are doing much more, and teachers are really they're working so hard, and that the financial stress going through the teachers and the academic institutions all are under financial stress. I think we need to respond proactively and we need to accept this. I think the problem is still many of us are not able to accept this reality that we are into online mode. We have to be here. Still, people think that if tomorrow it opens, we'll run to the schools or the college and sit in the canteen, address the. No, that craziness still there. But I let me tell you, ma'am, but today this particular craziness has come down. No, because the kind of reports there in the media, we have seen that no, this particular problem is going to stay for a long time, ma'am. Even we come back to normalcy, some vaccines come, but economy will take minimum 5 years time to come back to normalcy. And today, let me tell you, I made a post in Facebook because I use Facebook for educational purpose. I'm a very serious social media person. I post that in Bangalore, the onion price is 100 rupees to 120 kg, okay, per kg. See the kind of situations, how common people will survive. Tell me, ma'am, how common people will survive? The potato is 60 rupees per kg. And there is no job. There is salary cut. There is laid off. It's a very tough call. Now, government made an announcement.
Because there is no, like for us also, we are facing that constraints and we face it with our teachers as well. They are working day and night. They are working 24/7. There's no definite working hours because they have to make it, because the stakeholders being our children, they are trying their level best, to make that, this journey of this online thing, as valuable as the physical classes. So but definitely the stress levels are more, and the teachers have to face in kind of issues because they're sitting at home, so they have the family pressures as well. Because they need to work day in day out just to make get all the possible, as you say, get all the as sir also said, we need to update, we need to change, so we need to learn more to present, because the information is open now. I mean, you have an access. Children know more. They would have a one step further knowledge as to what you are going to put them across. So, researching and creating resources for our students. Their working hours are now, it has no bounds, it has no limits. So the teacher has to face it both sides. So you have the pressure, you have the family pressure, and it's like really getting on. And as far as what when we interact with our children online also, and I go for an informal session with them, they all are so frustrated sitting at home. They actually want to, the first question they would ask me, ma'am, when is the school reopening? Because we want to come back. It's not that kind of a thing that we really miss being with our friends and all that stuff. So that is what I feel is like we really miss on a lot of things now. So we are really perplexed as to how we are heading towards, and how are we gonna go ahead with this kind of coming up with online exams and all that. But still, there's quite a void that we are all experiencing.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful
I
intervention.
have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. May I?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
So there is a lot of discussion for the higher classes and the metros and the urban places, but nobody is thinking about the semi-urban and the rural places where the connectivity is a great problem. Teachers are also not updated with the new environment and the new technology, and students don't have the infrastructure to get learned or get teached on the online platforms. And there is the parents as well as the students are reluctant to adopt all these changes. So these are my views. Your views on this thing?
Thank you, sir. Rajesh Khurana, sir. The wonderful. This is interjection. See, there were two news items in the newspaper. One is with respect to the Nagaland state and their government. What they have done, they have distributed the pen drive loaded with the complete course material for the students. So that, but again, the problem is whether the students at the rural places they have the laptop, okay or not. That remains a question. The second, in the Punjab government during this pandemic time, they have given no the pump top, okay, to the students free of cost. I think these are two interests. Number one. The second, in Karnataka, they started one program, Vidyagama, it called, and the same program is there even in Jharkhand and other places, wherein no teachers they go to the rural areas and they arrange some students and take the some classes in the open space, maintaining the physical distance, so that at least no some to some extent some of the things can be addressed, but that cannot be done in totality. We have also seen in newspaper that students are climbing to the trees and sitting on the top of trees with the laptop to get the internet connection. That means that let me tell sir that digital India initiatives by the present government, without any political affiliation, it was a right time intervention by the no, by the center. And because of this digital India initiatives, I believe that a lot of academic institutions and corporate, at least, they are able to respond to this. But rural India, we have the network issue, and presently the government has already made a major allocation to ensure that optic fiber connections can be given on priority to the rural India, so that even in we panchayat, all the panchayat are connected with the internet. But rural India, okay, whether using the optic fiber connections, we can give access to the internet connections to the rural population or not, because this is a digital divide. There was a time when there was a problem of electricity, but today India claims that 100% no, we have the electricity everywhere. Now the problem is internet connections. The next year problem will be the 5G connections. Already it started coming in. The speed of connections. I think still we're into the 4G, and many places they don't have 3G also. And the this is a real issue, especially the rural areas. Students don't have that kind of awareness. Teachers have some difficulties. There is internet issue. There is financial issue because of that. The gadgets, what is supposed, the smartphones. But I believe today, even in the rural India, I think all of us know have the smartphones. So I think mobile learning, using mobile learning, I think can be very effective. And some of the companies they have already started using the mobile platform, how learning can be imparted to the students. I think this will take little time to respond to this particular no unprecedented. That's why what's no time and again say this is unprecedented time. No one expected this will happen. This happened and it is prolonged, and for how long we don't know. But definitely we have to come out with some interventions, and as a teachers and academic or the other stakeholders, we should respond to it, and we should try to find out how we can address. One day I was discussing with one professor from Madhya Pradesh, and from the government college in the rural area, and he was telling that no, it's too tough no to really no address the problem. So what they're doing, no, they're sending question paper using the WhatsApp. They're calling over the phone and trying to take some sessions one to one, especially no those who are slow learners. And I think no, this there is no overnight solution, especially to the especially to the issues encountered in the rural India. But having said that, I'm sure that teachers are taking right steps and students are also understanding because it is their career. That's why I say that no placement has never ever was a responsibility of a faculty, is always a student's responsibility. They have to learn, they have to make themselves employable, they have to go for interview and crack a job. I think if that spirit is there, if they have not come just for a qualification, right, getting a degree, let's go to the college, if they've come to do something in life, get a good job, I think the interest should come from the students, learners by themselves. And today it is proven, sir, that learning happens maximum through the self learning mode, and this particular pandemic has proven it. What Swami Vivekananda said, that learning is nothing but the self manifestation of what we already know by ourselves. I think that is repeating right now. Now, the problems, as you rightly put across, these problems are there, but we cannot solve these issues overnight. But we all are hopeful. We all are hopeful because learners have taken the lead to learn the things and to make themselves employable. Thank you so much. I think if anybody else, their views on
I
this
want to,
particular.
I want
Hello.
to add, I want,
Hello.
sir, I want
Yeah.
to add,
Can I please?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Bipin
want
sir.
to add,
Uh,
I want
Bipin
to
sir,
add
please.
one
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor
Anand sir,
Datta,
after
thank you
Bipin
very
sir.
much.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Professor Datta, the only point, and I would not like to take much time, I would like to give chance to all my distinguished teachers sitting here. My question is only one. How do you think we shall be able to create employable professionals through online teaching so that they could have impact on organizations?
I
Professor
think
Datta, my concern is that to align the courses with organizational objectives, that is the main concern. How to create those communication skills, how to create the leadership qualities, how to create that team spirit through online classes. That is my concern. I would like all the distinguished intellectuals to please come out with their views. Thank you very much, sir.
thank you, Vipin sir. So let me take the privilege of answering first, being the host.
Dr. Datta,
Yeah.
after you, I
Sir.
would like to answer that question.
Right, sir. Right, Tagrat sir. So let me just say, and no companies.
And
No.
I don't want to be far behind.
Yes, sir. Bhaskar sir, definitely, sir. Now, my 2 points. Now, then I'll leave it I'll leave it open. Number one, many people started calling it, this is a COVID batch, passing out 2020 batch. Many they have not attended the classes. Many they have not appeared for the examinations, and they got the degree. That's why the Supreme Court ruling that end examination they must appear for the test. Now, whatever mode you arrange the test, no, depends on the university or the institutions. Number one. Second, now the question, what I'm going to say, the most difficult examination, one of the most difficult examinations in the world is CA examination, Chartered Accountant examination. Now, this CA examination is only available on distance mode. CA examinations never is on the regular mode. Now, these CAs are on high demand. Now, these CAs, the aspirants, what they do, they put their 100% best into the study. They learn the subjects well. Some they take the coaching and they come up to the standards to prove themselves that they're worth for employment. I think that's what time and again the question is definitely the offline of online. There are some challenges and there are some gaps, but end of the day it depends on the learners how he or she wants to develop herself or himself to fit for a particular job he or she is dreaming of. That's number no that's very very important. So I now hand over to Tagrat sir, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, actually, the challenges which, of course, many of we have discussed, and some of them, no doubt, it is very, very vital and valid. But we being teachers, we all agree that it is not in our hands. For example, 4G, for example, quality of audio, quality of video, connectivity. These are all not in the teacher's hand. There are people, Ministry of Communication, Ministry of HRD, or whoever it is, they have to handle. But the real challenge for a teacher, the answer to the previous speaker's question, for example, all of us are aware learning happens in many ways. See, as long as it is cognitive learning, as long as it is theoretical, conceptual learning, it is not a big challenge. Instead of seeing the faculty live flesh and blood in the classroom, the students are seeing him on the screen and they are listening to his voice, and maybe he will show some PPTs and then it will run. The biggest challenge is where learning used to happen through the other mode, that is called learning by doing, or what we call experiential learning. When the other professor said, like team building, attitude, leadership, conflict management, various other skills, its knowledge can be transferred. To transfer skill is a real challenge to the teacher in the online mode. Concepts can be easily, but here, wherever learning has to take place through doing or learning by doing or an experiential mode, that is the biggest challenge for the teacher. How do we create that kind of an experience through online? I feel, see, for example, to teach team building to the corporates, I used to conduct 2 or 3 games, make them feel it. They themselves will come out with solutions after playing that game or the group work. Making it happen online is a real challenge. So this is where perhaps a lot of us have to think about the methodologies and the technology required to create that kind of an experiential learning. That's my submission, Dr. Datta.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request
I want to.
Bhaskar sir to please add on something.
Yeah. I'll just add on something is that the COVID has been the best teacher in all these days in the last.
Correct.
Okay? So it has all, COVID has made us transform to the online platforms, digital teaching. But COVID is not going to be there for long. COVID will definitely go away. But the new normal will also not be the same as it was used to be before COVID. It will, but nothing will ever be 100% online. Because as a marketing person, I can tell you that even Philip Kotler in his Marketing 4.0 has said that this transformation from traditional to online will be a hybrid kind of thing, style in substance. The physical, the traditional will always be the more authentic one. Everyone will get back because nothing, even Procter and Gamble will not be 100% digital company. It has to be a hybrid. So, but as I said, COVID has taught us how to adapt and learn and apply online teaching, online communication, online interaction, everything. But that is also going to help because the new normal, we will all be very cautious because we never know another COVID might come. But we will be cautious. We will all try to make safe distance. But the traditional approach to teaching will definitely come back. That is my take on this.
Sir, I'm Anand, sir.
Yes, please.
Anand. Sir, earlier
I
somebody
wish
asked.
it becomes a wishful thinking, but in days to come, online is going to stay. I don't think it will go away, but as you said, it will be hybrid. I fully accept.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Anand, please.
Yeah, sir, earlier the person has asked about the rural and that challenges.
Yes.
Sir, in this situation, COVID, maybe for this year, the teacher has to, I mean, the government organization should think about the department that about the syllabus. They should reduce little syllabus. That is for time being, because there are 10 chapters is there. They have to think about that the next year, some 9 chapters is related with that, correlated with the next year's syllabus. According to that, they should reduce little syllabus in that matter, sir. That is one of the solution. That is for this particular year. So the real burden will be from the student, because students also knew the bandwidth and net connection and other so many problems will little bit because of that problem. This will be the one of the solution. Another thing is that, sir, this is a rightly the professor said about the COVID. This is, I will say, this is a good opportunity. Reason is that, sir, in 2008 when Kasab has attacked Taj Mahal Hotel, during that time security word, and then the security camera and all these things is we were not that much aware, Indian people. But after that Kasab's attack, the Panwala in Mumbai and Delhi, they are also putting the security cameras that in their shops, small shops. So my submission is that everyone is aware and people are going through that. Each and every society now they are putting cameras and recording and everything about that society. So the change of that security phenomena has changed during that 2008 after. Likewise, the COVID has given opportunity, especially for online teaching or teaching methodology. Now here the methodology, which methodology we have to adapt. The professor said rightly about the leadership, and somebody said that I was conducting 2 to 3 games and I was observing, and then there is some skills they were developing and this. Now here my submission is that, sir, definitely the online methodology and then video and the so many things is there. The teacher has to rightly which tool has to use for this. He has to select. There are so many tools available, sir. We have to use that right tool for to develop that skills or inculcate that skill into the students. So here the big challenge is which methodology we have to adapt and what duration will be there. This is the big research and big things will be there for this after the COVID situation, I will say. This is my submission. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Well,
Mr. Anand.
I would like
so-
to add.
Yes, Simon, sir, please.
One more thing. Thank you for all. I'm just carefully listening what people are now talking. It's really valuable. Many of experts have given a very valuable points. Really, thank you. But I won't say no. In spite of COVID-19, there are disadvantages and advantages. But what I believe strongly is this COVID-19 has taken us to the new norm where we can learn new things. Now, as professors, we have not learned these online platforms, many online platforms. There's Microsoft Teams, Zoom, this Google Meet, so many things we have not handled so far. But because of the requirement, desperation, now all the professors have come to the place where we have to learn the Zoom platform, Microsoft Teams, this and that. And we are able to learn so many things like, Google platform, Google, forms, how to feed the students with the Google forms, preparing, Google Sheets, this and that. So many things that we have learned. And this COVID-19 has taught us very important things. And the change is very required for us. Whether it is there for us for some time or not, that is another thing. But this COVID-19 has taken us to the globalization. As any company going for globalization, our education system is going now globalization. I am able to hear Professor Datta speaking to me somewhere in Bangalore. I am able to hear here. This is because of COVID-19. And this thing is really beneficial because some eminent professors, you said, some eminent professors somewhere in Bangalore or from Australia somewhere, students are able to hear different geographies. Definitely, this is a wonderful system. We are going through the globalization, but of course, as Professor Satya, Dr. Tyagarajan said, it has got its own disadvantages because of the skills when it is taking place. transfer of skills cannot just simply take place just by seeing and listening. That we need actually practical doings. I 100% agree with whatever he says. So some part of that, what we can learn through cognitive understanding, theoretical thing, can be learned through this online. But some part of the teaching, which can be learned only by doing, cannot be learned by this online. And another thing that I would like to add is, when we want to make effective this online learning, it is not only professors, not only teachers, there are other stakeholders have to join together. For example, the government initiative. What have they understood? How far they can speed up the system so that we all can fit into this, this new normal. Because as some experts said, right, people suffering in rural areas. So these things should be considered by the government. For example, electricity we can manage, but what about the Wi-Fi? So these are all the things which are emerging. Government bodies should think definitely, should think about all those things, and the professors have to think on from their side. Students have to think from their side how to be responsible. Just because they come to the online, they cannot switch on the online and they cannot go and sleep. This thing happens because the professors, we see the person is present in the this online, but when we call out the person, he is not there. When we call out the student name, he is not there. These are all practical things. What can we do? So these are all some advantages, disadvantages with regard to the online, but we cannot underestimate the effectiveness of the online learning, because some the great people from different geographies, we can hear from them, learn from them, and the group community can be formed, the intellectual community, and there can be a great competitiveness. Now, intellectual competitiveness can rise from this kind of online learning. I completely agree with Professor Datta and the others are many of the experts. I really am happy that I have added many things. Thank you, sir, so much. So it has got its advantage, disadvantage, but what we have learned from the online learning, that is very, very important. That's what I believe. So all the stakeholders must take some initiatives and some response so that everybody make it effective. That's what I believe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon, sir. And
Thank you.
wonderful summation. As Mr. Anand rightly said, that reduction of syllabus at the school level, ICSE and other boards, they have made the announcement 30% syllabus reduction for the students. At the university level, I think there is no announcement as of now, because they are the matured students. They can just speed up the pace of learning. That's wonderful. And what Bhaskar sir has said, very rightly put it across, that is going to be the hybrid model, the blended no teaching learning, what we're also talking about. No, some of the things which cannot be done with the question raised by, I think, the Vipin sir, Dr. Vipin sir, rightly put it across how we can transfer the skills. And same thing supported by Professor Tagraj sir, nicely sir put it across, that some of the skills like team building and those stuff which generally no, we do it in face-to-face mode through some game or activities mode, and there is some challenges. We have many simulation games, but that also cannot exactly replicate that. No, so there is some gaps. Definitely, this is going to remain there. So let me say that in Bangalore there is one international school, 671 just before COVID. That's the first school in no international school in India. We started robot teacher. The robot particular used to take the sessions for the social science subjects, leaving the maths and other parts, and it was a very successful testing. And but using of artificial intelligence and as edtech expert, they say the using of augmented reality, virtual reality, and machine learning. No, many things can be done online, but it cannot replace the human being, because end of the day, technology is the enabler. It plays the role of enabler. There has to be human involvement. I think it's rightly put across that hybrid mode is going to be the new mode. Even we come back to normalcy, but it will not be the same thing as it was before COVID. So COVID definitely is the best teacher, and it has proven that many business models which used to be very successful for last 20, 30 years, all those models now fell flat because of the COVID-19 situations. And we need to accept that digital footprint digital footprint is must, whether it's academic institutions or the corporate world. We have to have our presence digitally, because we don't know next time, what future will bring in. There may be some serious kind of pandemic than this COVID-19 situations. So thank you so much for wonderful. Any more questions on
Dr. Datta.
Yes, Hema ma'am, please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Sir, I'd like to answer for Dr. Vipin's question, where he about the training programs or the placement skills of the students that can prepare them to be placed in corporate. How to compensate that? So I am of an opinion. This particular year, the students who have just graduated in the pandemic would definitely be in trouble. Like the other departments, like the hospitality or the entertainment or tourism, definitely our graduate students, or that's the current batch, are the most affected of all the students. So I have had experience of students who decided to take up placements, have now chosen to continue with their higher studies, a few of them. The others have taken up into their business, which is a family business, which was not their choice originally. So now they have tried to adapt themselves to taking up the family businesses. And a few of them have, actually taken up some random job just to keep it going for the time being. So these are the typical scenarios that I have experienced with the students, whom I have been dealing with. But otherwise, in general, it is going to be a tough year, is what I see for the fresh graduates. So we just crossing fingers that the corporates employ more people, and especially the freshers, give training which probably could have happened at the college end, placement training which didn't happen. So probably the corporates should incorporate a small training session for the freshers, train them, and then start taking them and giving them more jobs. That's the reason I see the popularity of all the startup companies also. So I think that is my opinion on placement into the corporate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for
May I,
sharing your valuable
Hema madam,
experience. Yeah.
Professor Datta,
Yes, please.
may I answer Hema questions?
Yes, yes, sir, please.
Professor Datta, thank you very much. Madam Hema was very, very right when she said that there is definitely trouble, and many people who wanted to join tourism, they are now taking over to their family business reluctantly. May I inform all the esteemed members here? I'm trying, as a teacher, I'm trying my level best, ladies and gentlemen, to try to build up the communication skills, as well as the leadership skills, as well as the team building skills. And my constraint is that I cannot have more than 5 students at a time. Telephone conferencing. I cannot have more than 5 students at a time, and I try to have group discussions, and I try to prepare them for interview sessions. I do not have a video conferencing because through videos I find that there is a lot of disturbance, and in the process I am trying my level best to do it, and I am successful to a great extent. And this is the answer to the point that was raised by Hema madam, that how we can take over this challenge. And I, as a person, am doing that. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Simir. One thing I also want to say, I agree with Dr. Vipin. Like in Amity also, we are doing all things online, group discussion, video conferencing. Even as you said that it was a challenge for the teachers. Like e-content development, we have made on the 4 quadrant. Like we have a e-tutorial that a 5-minute video before every lecture, then e-tutorial 20-minute presentation. Then we have case studies, group presentation, and Q3 quadrant is for basically group discussion, guest lectures, as you said. Guest lectures have become very easy. Webinars have become very, very easy. So we are doing so many webinars for international. We are from Dubai, from USA. And then the quadrant 4 is basically evaluation, testing, as you said, through MS Team or assignment. So as even for last 9 months we have changed, 8 months we have changed already. because already we are doing, Amity is already doing in par. We are having all the sessions. Even placements are also coming. We already have placed. Deloitte has come in our campus. Swayzeri has come. Then banking and insurance, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank. So we are also having good placements. Also we are doing because we didn't wait for the time. By the March 17th, by 20th March, we are ready with the Microsoft Teams. So it's as early as the universities or teachers prepare change themselves because as Dr. Vipin rightly said, this is not a new normal, that even the things change, we have to live with for next 2-3 months also. So it's a better we should prepare for that, and those universities, those have taken the lead. So everything is online.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vasin sir, for sharing your experience, what happening in Amity
Sir,
University. Yeah. Yes, sir.
sir, my submission is that
Yeah, Anand.
Anand from Mumbai. Sir, the madam was saying about that placement rather. Sir, it is not only about the part of that college or institution or a particular teacher. It is a part of the student also. The situation after, say, for example, it is finished. He may be right now he has joined somewhere to get the experience, maybe a family business. After that, the student, the teacher has to monitor him, and then he has to discuss, and then again we have to support him because that is required in this situation. Not like this is your COVID batch and this is what. Even the industry also, their job is that, oh, he maybe passed that examination because of UGC or maybe a Supreme Court decision, but there may be some problem is there. Yes, we have to give a training. Maybe for this boy, we have to give more 10 hours or more training, whereas generally we conduct for 5 hours. But this boy we have to train. So likewise, it's a holistic approach. It's not one man show, sir. It is the way you had said that it is everyone has to help because this everyone has to do the little work. Then it will be definitely we will go into that path. So my submission is that if not he has passed that, it is our duty as a college head principal or director or maybe the that placement in charge. He has to track that the students and conduct the things and help these people. Maybe from company side, he may be joined directly. They can contact the company also. Yes, he is from this batch or maybe liking little less skills and everything. Please take care about this because this type of support is required. Support. This is my submission.
Thank you. Thank you, Anand sir.
Thank you.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. I think some kind of support, even before this pandemic, we have seen that how Google has removed the academic qualification from the eligibility criteria, and it was followed by Ernst and Young. Even the Donald Trump, through some presidential order, removed the formal qualification from the eligibility criteria for any government job in US, and that had set a new no lot of uproar across the world because everyone looks up to US. Now I think end of the day, corporate is always looking for the bottom line, the productivity, who can contribute to their productivity. That means they're doing the know what skills they're looking for. If students have the skills, I think many corporates may not be much bothered about their academic background. I think that's a new trend is setting, and I think this trend also is going to stay there because if someone without much formal qualification can deliver, so what is the harm in that to recruit that person? No, I think that's a new kind of changes what is happening no in terms of no skill mapping from the corporate side. Thank you so much. Wonderful deliberation by Dr. Bipin sir.
I have a question.
Yes, Neha ma'am, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon. On abilities, which we are talking about for the digital learning, and most importantly, we have talked in the session about the hybrid learning. So my question is that what strategies should be considered as a proactive measure to deal with the hybrid learning would be required in the digital mode and the human touch is there. So what is the key to that? What strategies should be focused effectively from today itself so that this effective hybrid learning, when delivered, would be the efficient one? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's once again a wonderful interjection. Now, what no experts on today's panel and many have supported that the future is going to be hybrid, what otherwise we call it blended learning mode. Even before this pandemic, many institutions they have dedicated some 10 hours or 20 hours for online activity or online assignment, online journal review. Okay, those kind of activities. It was done in many institutions, but with not that kind of seriousness. But as you rightly said, being proactive, looking at the future, I think we have to ensure in the curriculum itself some of the modules in each course wherein no practical session or lab session is not there must be earmarked for the online engagement. Okay, in the curriculum itself, in the lesson plan itself, it should be marked the teaching medium is online, and those should be done with dedications and the seriousness. And some sessions wherein we believe we have to meet face to face, we have to interact, we have to do some role play or the game or some kind of exercises. Okay, therein we can do those kind of modules can be done offline in the face to face mode. That has to be decided, and that will remain there, because the end of the day what is happening, this is the cost effectiveness, this is the cost effectiveness for the institutions, for any organization, to keep some of the activities online. At the same time, it is very enriching also, because like guest lecture, every week Saturday in most of the institutions, higher education institutions, they earmark for the guest lecture. Now this guest lecture can definitely happen online, what is happening now, and we can get some good resource person anywhere from the world. The symposium, the conferences, what is happening now today in face-to-face mode. And we know what happened exactly in conferences, right? We go meet people, make 5 minutes presentations. That is not effective at all. Now these things can be done online. There is no need. Some of the activities definitely can done no face-to-face mode, but majority can be definitely done with much cost effectiveness in online platform, and which is user friendly, and that has to be integrated into the curriculum itself, and that will remain. And I believe that, as Neha ma'am rightly put forward, moving forward, for academic institutions, I think directive has to come from our regulatory bodies, because until UGC and AICT, they give directions that you make your curriculum on blended learning mode, and those directions must come from the regulatory bodies through university to the affiliating colleges, because we cannot do off ourselves something, because the affiliating mode of education, that has to come from the apex body. And we have no doubts that having experienced this kind of situations and moving forward, definitely the blended mode will be the best mode to move forward, and there will be some guidelines when we come back to normalcy. Thank you so much. I think that's a very relevant and pertinent question in today's discussion. Now anyone wants to share their experience or wants to add on, please, most welcome, so that we can continue.
Dr. Datta?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to understand of the certifications that are so open now, both to the teachers and the students, like from the Udemy or Unacademy. How relevant are they going to be once probably we are, getting back to the so-called normal mode of learning, or, because we are both teaching and learning. So our academic measures are also the, amount of knowledge we have gained. So during the pandemic, if they are expecting you to have a certain level of knowledge through, certifications, how much relevant are these certifications? Sir?
Thank you, ma'am. I think now I've spoken a bit in the beginning, the same question. And Udemy, Unacademy, even Harvard, edX, Coursera, IIMs, okay, all institutions now offering lot of certification programs. SWAYAM platform, Government of India. Okay, there are plenty of certification programs, and definitely these certification programs are designed keeping in mind to add certain skills or knowledge to the participants. End of the day, what happens? That has to be proven by the students who have taken that certification program, but not by the offering institutes. I think that's one thing we have to understand, that any certification programs, any degrees, we have seen many doctorates, many no postgraduates are without job, because end of the day it's not just the qualification which matters, because you have to prove that yes, what you have achieved, you are worked for it. I think that will make a lot of sense. And whatever certifications you have, you know that no AICT has a tie-up with Upgrade, right? Ronnie Screwwala, that startup, to give artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. So all engineering students across India, engineering colleges, they can pursue those programs. And Upgrade is a private venture, right? So end of the day, if someone takes a certification from Upgrade on artificial intelligence or robotics, but that person in the interview, he gets a certificate, but interview cannot prove, or he does not have any knowledge or answer the questions, definitely that fellow will not get a job. I think the end of the day, and even as I said, that Google and Ernst and Young and many other examples wherein many people may not have any certifications, but based on their experience, they are smart enough to get a job. And there are examples at the same time. Okay, so ma'am, as you put forward the question, I believe that the credibility of any certification program is is quite completely dependent on the certificate holder, not by the certificate itself. Certificate proves that someone has gone through certification program, but whether candidate has really learned some skills or gained some knowledge or not, that completely depends on the candidate. So candidate has to prove, ma'am, at the end of the day. And I believe this is the era of micro credential, people call it. And you have seen that the HP University and most of the Volvo University, most of the IT companies or big corporations, they have their own university to skill up, to upgrade their knowledge, and they give the certifications. So certification program, this micro credential is very, very open. And many the academic experts, they now debate that these micro credentials may be a threat to the formal qualification, because after 4 years of engineering program, if someone doesn't understand well the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and someone takes a 3 months course and get the mastery, so in the domain, I think this fellow will get the job than the 4 years engineering program. So there are a lot of debates today that, and it calls rise of micro credential, because the companies are looking for expertise knowledge in a very specific niche area, and which can be catered by this kind of micro credentials. Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful question.
May I just respond to
Yes.
Madam's remark,
Yes, sir.
Professor?
Yes, sir.
I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, that there are many walking encyclopedias who are living failures. And when I say that, I want to say that certificates, degrees, at the end of the day, matter little, because all the organizations the world over would like to hire for attitudes, and they would like to train for skills. And at the end of the day, the most important word is attitude. And if we as teachers could somehow try to understand that a person's attitude builds his altitude, if we are able to understand that and try to incorporate these things into our teaching, I think we shall do very well. Thank you very much, Datta.
Wonderful, Bipin sir. Wonderful. I think that's the cardinal principle of recruitment. Hire for attitude, train for the skills. And the World Economic Forum, once again, time and again, I'm referring to, they have given one skill. If the present generation they have, I think they don't need any other skills. And they put it very fantastic. And they say that it's learnability, the ability to learn fast and put into practice, because the environment and technology is changing so fast. Today someone is employable. See, there was a time early 2000 when the people, those who are good at speaking English, used to get the BPO job, right, very fast, and BPO was very popular. So English used to be one of the major employability skills. But today you look at there are many roles wherein if you're good at your technical sides, the hard skills, okay, even you are not so good at English, I think there is no problem. I think employability no changes with the time, with the changes in demand and changes in technology and the external environment. And thank you, Dr. Bipin sir, for the wonderful the interjection, and also uh, uh, Hema ma'am for the wonderful interjection. Any other questions,
Thank you,
or
sir.
anybody wants to share his or her experience, most welcome. So all of us can learn. I think it's a fantastic platform to learn from each other. So I believe there is no more question, or nobody wants to share as of now. No, so thank you so much once again for attending this particular interactive session and imparting your experience, sharing your knowledge, your views, and it has been wonderful, no cooperative learning experience, what we always talk about, participative learning experience, and we have done it. And thank you so much for all the senior participants like Dr. Vipin, Mr. Bhaskar Chakrabortira, and Professor Tagraj. A lot of senior people are there, and it's a blessings for all of us to listen to their views and their experts' opinion. Because one thing I personally believe, that no experience and age no makes a lot of difference. The people, those who have seen the life, okay, they are better judge. Okay, they're better judge, because end of the day, see, there was one discussion, and everybody is talking that we should get the job, we should learn, and but end of everything is whether really we are happy or not. So whether anything on happiness is taught in higher education, I think again that's a big challenge, because the purpose of life, end of the day, being happy. And thank you so much, sir, and namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Datta. Thank you very much.
Wish you all very happy Navaratri. And today is Ashtami as well as Navami. So
Yeah, Durga Ashtami. Durga Ashtami.
yeah, Durga Ashtami. Navami also said today is started. So let the blessings of Durga be on all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jai
Okay.
Durga, Jai Durga Mata.
Jai Durga.
Jai Mata. Jai Mata.